Okay, just looking at some more trig proofs. Alright, okay, so we want to show that sine pi minus theta cos theta minus cos pi minus theta equals cos 2 theta. Okay, so if we look at just the sine pi minus theta, that just means that's in the second quadrant. And sine is positive in the second quadrant, so that part will just be equal to sine theta. And if you look at the cos pi minus theta, in the second quadrant, cos is negative, so that's just equal to minus cos theta. Okay, so overall here, this part here is just equal to cos theta, and then times the other cos theta, minus this here is sine theta, and then times the other sine theta. So we then have cos squared theta minus sine squared theta, and cos squared theta minus sine squared theta is cos 2 theta. Okay, to show 2 cos squared minus theta equals cos 2 theta. Okay, so if we look at the right hand side and we start with the cos 2 theta, that will be equal to cos squared minus sine squared. And now you want to just change it all to cos. So you get the sine squared and you make it 1 minus cos squared. That's just using the sine squared plus cos squared, which equals 1. Identity. And then you've got cos squared theta minus 1 plus cos squared theta. And cos squared plus cos squared is 2. So that's 2 cos squared theta minus 1. And then you look at that equals the left-hand side. So that is proven. And the next one, so looking at this, the one that we would want to change is the cos pi on 2 minus theta. Now cos pi on 2 minus theta, that's a complementary angle because that's 90. That will equal sine theta. Cos goes with sine, sec with cosec, and cot with tan. Alright, so that means we've got 1 minus sine theta, and cos pi on 2 minus theta is sine theta. So that's going to be 1 minus sine squared theta, and that's just your identity, which equals cos squared theta. Okay. Just looking at this next one here then, so on the top line, you kind of got to look outside the box here. See, instead of expanding the cos 2 theta and the sine 2 theta, you could think, oh, that's sine cos. And that reminds me of the sine one. Sine A plus B is sine A cos B, plus sine A sine B. This has got a minus here, so it'll be sine 2 theta minus theta. And on the bottom, this is the cos one, because it's cos sine. So with cos, the sine's different, so that's a plus in the middle, so it's 2 theta minus theta, which will then equal, so we'll first of all do sine theta over cos theta. Okay, so just then equals sine theta on cos theta, which will equal tan theta. Okay, so looking at this one here, now that really doesn't equal anything, like it's not sine cos, there's not much you can do there. So all you can really do is just expand it. So sine theta plus alpha is sine theta cos alpha plus sine alpha cos theta. That's the left-hand side equals. And then you multiply that by, we've got sine theta minus alpha. So that'll be sine theta cos alpha minus sine alpha cos theta. Okay, so looking at that then, we basically, if we look at that, we have the same thing here and here. And then we also have the same thing here and here. And there's a minus in the middle. So it's the same as having like A plus B, A minus B, the difference of two squares, and it will expand to A squared minus B squared. Okay, so when you look at this, that's like the difference of two squares. So the A is actually sine theta cos alpha, and the B is sine alpha cos theta. So you end up having A squared, which is the first term squared, minus B squared, which is the last term squared. Okay, you could expand the whole thing out and you can get the same thing, and the two middle terms are cancelled because it's like plus AB minus AB. Okay, so that gives you sine squared theta cos squared alpha minus sine squared alpha cos squared theta. Now, if you do look at your prize there, so you look at your prize, you've got sine theta squared theta minus sine squared alpha. So that means that you want no coses. So you want to get rid of the cos squared alpha and this cos squared theta. So you want to make them sine. So in order to do that, you replace it with 1 minus sine squared alpha. And this one here, you replace with 1 minus sine squared theta. And now if we open the brackets, sine squared theta times 1 is sine squared theta. Sine squared theta times sine squared alpha is sine squared theta sine squared alpha minus sine squared alpha times 1 is minus sine squared alpha. Sine squared alpha minus sine squared alpha times minus sine squared theta is plus, because the minus times the minus is a plus. Sine squared alpha sine squared theta. Okay, so these are the same, so you cross them out, and then if you look at what's left, you end up with sine squared theta. Sine squared theta minus sine squared alpha.